What is good stuff, family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And I have a very important warning about the markets right now because some very interesting price action is developing. And I do believe something huge is going to turn in the markets very soon. I'm going to show you what I think is going to happen. I'm going to break down CPI and do all these very important things. But before I do anything like that, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. Put in $1,000 and you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon, in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, guys, I do apologize if I sound very tired right now. It is still about 5 o'clock in the morning for me. But I just want to talk about something very important with this CPI report. In my previous video, I did say that the market might get some kind of like bounce, and right now you can see SPY is up pretty nicely in the pre-market. It's up over 2 points. Tesla's up right now. NEO is up. SoFi is up. IWM, even the QQQ is up quite a bit at that 440 area. Right, Amazon is up, Meta is up, the market is up right now after CPI came out. However, I just want to warn you that I don't believe this move is going to last very long. And that's because of the fact that I see this as a trap, as these institutions are just grabbing liquidity and they're getting ready to turn the market around the other way. And let me elaborate on this. So, CPI came out, right? In my previous video, I said I was anticipating the market's going to push higher. And that is what happened. The market did push higher after CPI came out, but that's despite the fact that the numbers were not the best. So let's talk about this. CPI year over year was 3.2%. That is on the hotter end of the forecast and consensus. The forecast is 3.2%, so it basically met expectations, but it was a little bit on the hotter side of that. Month over month, CPI was 0.4% on the hotter end of the consensus, so it's aligned with expectations, but a little bit on the hotter end. Core CPI year over year was 3.8%. That's the hotter end of the forecast. It still is aligned with expectations, but a little bit higher up there. And then core CPI month over month, however, was up 0.4%, a little bit hotter than expected. So a tiny bit hotter than expected. So the numbers were, I would say, so. They were technically very close to expectations, but they were on the hotter end, with core CPI month over month being a little bit hot. And then if you look at the chart like this is the latest CPI chart. We actually had a slight increase in CPI for all items in the month of February, a slight itty bitty increase. But for all items without food and energy, core CPI still came down a bit, so it's still holding up decently, not bad whatsoever. So now the question is, how is the market going to react? Well, we got this pop. I was expecting us to push a little higher. We got the move up, and we're going to likely gap up, but I think that the market is going to switch directions very soon, and this pop was just a trap. I just want to note that I looked at other pieces of news, and I'm not really seeing anything too crazy. It's just the same stuff, like Oracle had its earnings. I talked about that. Boeing's problems, like it's all the same stuff. So I'm not seeing anything else that's I'm going to be talking about in terms of like news. For Tesla, however, we got some more news that came out. I just want to mention this briefly before I break down the charts. The Chinese registrations came out. They actually ended up increasing somewhat, but other expectations are still low. So the Chinese registrations for Tesla for the second week of March, that is going to be from the dates right here, the week ending on from basically I think it's March 4th through the 11th. During that period, we got about 13,200 insurance registrations, up 5.6%. This is what the chart looks like for Tesla. Despite their Chinese registrations going up just a little bit, we do have some negative news. Basically, Deutsche Bank analysts have come out and they wrote that they expect Tesla to miss consensus estimates by a wide margin, and they lowered their Q1 delivery estimate to 427,000, down from 476,000 due to low Model 3 production in the US, slow Cybertruck ramp-ups, and overall weak EV demand. They also said that they cut their full year overall deliveries guidance on Tesla, estimating 1.96 million units below the consensus of 2.1 million. So that is some negative news for Tesla, unfortunately. Besides that, we do have some decent news, though. Tesla also made an announcement that it's going to be offering early Cybertruck delivery for long-term Tesla shareholders. So that's a good piece of news. And as of right now, these are the main headlines that are coming out. So not really anything else has come out so far. We're just going to focus on the charts from this point. So for Tesla, just like SPY, we got this little pop thanks to CPI. Tesla's very close to this 180 area. It is possible to try to grab liquidity, but I think that Tesla's eventually going to form a top and start turning back down. I feel like this is going to become a little bit symmetrical whether we pop back up to 180 or not. And we're going to eventually make our way back down to about 175, in my opinion, if not lower levels, because I think the market is going to turn. I think that this pop we're getting is kind of like a trap for a lot of investors, and I think that this is going to heavily dictate Tesla. So watch this 180 area as resistance, 182.5 on Tesla's resistance, support watch 177.6, and eventually 175. We might pop first and then make our way back down, so watch for that on Tesla. I think that's most likely going to happen. For SPY, well, we called this move. You have to first give us some credit. I said SPY might be reaching 414 to 415 after CPI comes out. Look at where it peaked at. It actually came just under 515, so the move did come. But now I think that it's going to turn back down. So let me explain. We're gapping up right now. We have a gap to fill. On top of this, I think that SPY could pop again when we open, but we're going to be watching a top basically form. We might top at 514, maybe it's 515, somewhere in this range. If we break 515, it's going to be around 516.5. Somewhere it's going to form a top. And then it's going to come back down. We have support at 513.25. We're barely holding that. We're going to come all the way down to 511, the 510 area, 508.5. We're going to turn back down. So look for a pop, a push back up, and a big drop back down for a lower high to be established. I think that that is what's most likely going to happen. One could also interpret this as kind of like a very sloppy looking head and shoulders on SPY. I wouldn't really call it that, but I think that we're going to be coming right back down. We're going to see a big move to the downside. I think that we're going to be forming a top very soon on SPY. We did get the push as we predicted, but now we're going to reverse. I think that the CPI numbers were not the best, and I think that this is what the market's getting ready for. So I want to give you guys a warning about these preparation moves. For the QQQ, it's the same thing essentially. We have this 440 resistance and 442 above that. We have support at 438. If we lose that, there's 436. I think the QQQ could pop 440 area. Maybe it goes a little bit higher. It could try to push a little bit higher, but then we're going to form a top and we're going to turn right back down. So I think the market is showing some weakness. And I think that we are going to turn back down on the triple Q, establishing a lower high. And I think that this could even become kind of aggressive. So get ready for a sell-off. We might pop first, push a little bit higher, then eventually a big rejection will come. We're going to be making our way down to these liquidity zones. That's what I believe is most likely going to happen. On Nvidia, I'm seeing something very similar. Nvidia is kind of struggling to break 876. I think that Nvidia has some tight resistance up here, but this breakout is not the strongest. We could retest 880 to 885, and if we do break this, we could get closer to 900. But either way, whether it's 880 or even below that, I do see a rejection coming. As of right now, we're struggling to break 877, so we could reject and make our way back down to 862 and eventually lower levels like 850. And if we lose 850, 844 is coming, followed by 834. In my opinion, the charts do not look very strong. We could pop again to make our way back down or just kind of drop from here. So look for a little rejection and a move to the downside. On Apple stock, oops, this is the wrong charts. On Apple, I see something very similar. So Apple was trying to hold up. We're barely at this support where the yellow line is. So if you look back at the chart real quick, we basically had this blue trend line. I changed the color to blue because this is where we had our tough resistance. And then we broke past it yesterday, but this is just kind of like a fake out move now because because ever since we broke past it, we can now draw out another trend line like right here. I'm going to redraw this for you guys in a second. And now we have this support that was established just like this. But the issue is we broke past our resistance and now we're coming back down. And now we have this yellow trend line that's acting as support, right? So as far as Apple goes, if we lose this support where this yellow line is, there's a risk of us coming back down to this 170.9 area. If we hold above the yellow line, we could continue to uptrend, but there is a risk of us either kind of like popping a bit, grabbing liquidity, then coming back down, or we just drop from here. So be a little bit careful on Apple. The market could be turning. I just want to give you guys a very important warning about this as soon as possible. All right. So what is my view of the market? My view of the market is that we could pop and then drop, or kind of drop from where we're at. we did get the move to the upside as we predicted, but the market's going to turn afterwards. Okay. So we reached like 515 on SPY. We reached, these high levels on Tesla 180, but the market is going to likely turn afterwards. That was just a liquidity grab because CPI was not the best. All right. So a pump and drop is what we're anticipating. Get ready for that. So with that being said, I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Do not forget that all of these warnings that I have are very important for Tesla and Tesla investors. So make sure you're preparing to do what's necessary. With that being said, I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you for listening and peace out.